Well, I think there's two kind of steps people have to go through. The first is just kind of break the myth. If we care about climate issues or human issues in general, it necessarily means our profits will go down. So that decoupling of thinking of our benefit to society and our value versus our money, thinking those two are separate things and seeing how we can connect those two. So there's a kind of mental barrier that people have to go through because they believe it's true, even though there's no evidence for this kind of thinking. Um, so that's one kind of trick in trying to allow people, especially business people, that the second step after they believe that it's not bad for their business is to bring in their passions and their hopes and their issues around climate into their business and to empower them to do that because for many years they were told it's not where you bring your subjective values, business and your company should be neutral. Um, so one thing is to allowing them to actually bring themselves and to bring in their biggest dreams of what their company can do, and then help them see that that's possible and that it is the path forward.
Interesting. So you see it more as a mind shift that
Yeah,
they to dare to bring it in.
yeah.
But how do you then bring it in? Let's say you've decided your courage and you have identified what it is that you want to do, but how do you suddenly change? Is it just a new campaign you're running, or what?
Um,
How does it look like?
so the best way I think to create this kind of effective strategy is to think on the interconnection between two things. One is what is the kind of where is the space or the value that, let's say, my company or my product is in the world? Like, what does it do? And what do I come to the table with? What are the resources? What kind of skills do I have as a manager? Kind of understanding what can I actually do. For instance, if I'm I don't know, a videographer and edit short movies, etc. I probably won't have a huge effect on um, the energy policy of my country, right? It's all I can do, the skills I have, the resources, the knowledge I have. Let's just see what I can actually bring to the table and then look at all the topics that I care about. And then I'll try to find those connections. So where what I bring to the table, where my company is already positioned, what my products already do, what the skills I already have, and my employees or anyone who I'm working with, or my partners or my stakeholders, what are they already doing? What kind of power or leverage or influence they already have? And then I kind of look at the issues in the world and see where do they connect? Where does what I can bring to the table connect to an actual real problem? And be really, really honest about that. So um, you can, if we're talking about that person who can, edit videos, they can help create awareness campaigns and marketing campaigns. They probably won't invent a new solution for building materials because they're not an engineer. So everyone can really, from their skills, their knowledge, and where they're positioned, to find key issue that they can actually make a difference. And be really, really focused and honest because a lot of people do these really high goals and then they can either get disappointed or just have zero impact. So,
Okay, I love that. Okay, so you basically you speak with people and you help them identify what are you already doing and how can you then do something for the environment with what you know. So it's
mhm.
not so the action part is actually not that big of a deal. You could
Yeah,
already always get started, but finding out what to do and what makes sense and what is not uh, like changing the whole company or your whole
right.
personality. That is the work.
Yep.
Okay. So you talked about the one fear, like losing money.
Yeah.
What about the opposite fear of like greenwashing?
Yeah, I think that's a big thing. I think a lot of people who want to do stuff, their first fear is oh, oh, we'll lose market, we'll lose customers. And then their second fear is to promise too much and to seem as if they're greenwashing. They don't want to kind of be colored as if uh, they can they're kind of selling a vision that is not true, and they don't want to be one of those guys. So a lot of the times I will say, I talk about strategy, we can talk about your product, about your business, about your market, about what you're actually trying to do. How you communicate that to the world is your choice. I would usually disconnect those two, and allow companies to encourage them really to first decide a real strong business-based strategy. Again, coupling their product and their value to the change they want to see. And there's a whole process around that. Um, and be, again, really honest and try and so on. And then only after you really know what you're doing and what you can do, communicate that and to make sure you're never overpromise. It's better to underpromise and overdeliver, and make sure you have that kind of honest communication with whoever um your stakeholders are, to make sure you're not on that side of greenwashing. And sometimes I work with funds and help them transition into a climate focused strategy. That is a real big part of our conversation. And I really have to convince them to do the impact or the ESG, um, you know, in hiding or in secret. Do it for a year or two without telling anyone. It's fine. Just first of all, find out who you are in this place. What is your intrinsic value? Communicate that after you know. Marketing would be the last step, not the first.
Okay,
Um,
okay. So that supports the former argument that you made, that you stay in this exploration mode and you connect with yourself and your wishes and what is realistic, and you stay there until it's almost integrated in your daily life,
yeah,
and then you can share it, and then you're also
yeah,
past this greenwashing problem.
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, okay, clever. So you said that you had a whole process around it. Can you share a bit of what's your process?
Um, Yeah, I mean it's kind of a longer process, but I think if you know a little bit about frameworks around systems change, then one of the things I like to work with is kind of identify levers of influence. So if there's a whole system that operates with its own dynamic, let's say the food system, right? So we have the growers and you buy them, and then you have supermarkets, and then the waste management. There's a whole system around that with big companies, big corporations. It's very difficult to really change. You can be an actor, you can create a new product, you can help support some kind of waste management, but for systemic change, it's really difficult. And so the key thing to do is first of all understand what does influence the system that you care about. Is it maybe the big corporations on the top, they have the most influence. Maybe it's regulatory influence. Maybe the consumers are very active in this field, and having campaigns and so on will influence the actual system, not on the margins, but really how things are done. Um, and so you can do that kind of work not only in systems change, but in the little small market that you're in. Really understand what are the levers of influence, what can make a change in the market, because that's what we want to see in the end of the day. Maybe if you have an app that supports flow swapping, right? If you're doing something like that, it could be small, but try to understand what influences that market. How do people make that decision? Who are the big actors? Kind of map that out. And then understand what you are doing today, what you're offering, what business, what product you're doing, and then maybe kind of envision what you can do easily that you're not doing right now. So if you have one app, maybe you can have a second app, I don't know, customized for internally for a company, right? You can already kind of replicate what you already did, a lot of work, what you did with a little changes, you can do a few more products. So you can think of what you're already doing and then a little bit about what you can do with little effort. And then see if there's any way you can influence these these levers of influence that will make a big change in the market you want within the products you have, within all the resources which is you have, which is also your partners. It could be if you have any kind of background or relationship or networks with different sectors, really map out what you have, and then the issue on the top you address, and and then you kind of can understand how you can influence the market. And to end the story, and again, this is a kind of a long work with lots of data gathering and analysis, but the end of the kind of the process that we test we're on the way is if we make sure that every time we sell our product, so every time there's it could be a unit or a subscription, or every time there's an actual product sold, the impact is there. So you can't disconnect the impact in the product. Let's say if I'm selling solar home systems, for every unit sold, every time I get a euro, the impact happens, right? There's more energy generated. And so if you really connect the change you want to do with the what you're selling, and not let's say every customer who buys, one pair, one of your unit, you donate to somewhere else, right? That's decoupling the impact and the unit. You want it to be inherent in the product you sell. Every time someone uses it, um, you're creating that climate impact you want. And so you
Okay,
cannot have this kind of mission drift. Does that make sense?
yes, yes, yes. It's a bit far from the one daily thing to do,
Yeah.
but of course, I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
we're talking about climate impact. Nobody said it was going to be easy, but there are things that we can do. And
Yeah.
what I hear the most is that basically, if you wake up every morning and you ask yourself, what tiny little thing could I do today that would impact in some way or the other the climate?
Yeah.
Then
So I
it's
think
already a good start.
it's already a good start. And I think if you're in the beginning of your journey, then, and you're kind of doing something that has nothing to do with the environment and the planet, we can definitely do, yeah, just pay attention to that and to see, it just really depends what your company is.
But let's say now, obviously, we're talking to people who are interested in including this in your company because they care about the climate, care about impact. But what about people that really care about their business? What
Yeah.
what would you say to them to convince them that they should also care about the climate and that it's a good business model?
Well, I think, it might not be too new, but there's a few key things. The transition is happening, right? The energy transition, the food transition, and we're in different steps on the way, but it's happening and it's going to happen. And so these new markets for more sustainable solutions are in the process of being created or already there. And so you as a business can join now or join later when there are a lot more competitors. So knowing that these markets will exist, knowing that this is kind of where we're going in maybe 5, 10, or 15 years, but this is where we're going. Um, the rational choice is to see how your business can connect to these new markets, or else you will be irrelevant. Um, and I think, even just knowing the trends you are of today, if you want highly motivated and talented young people, you need to see how you're connecting to their future. And today, if you're not looking at the climate, you're not looking at young people's future. Um, And so just it makes sense also in terms of your recruitment, in terms of the way you can recruit money as well and fundraise, and also the opportunities that are out there in these new markets. It it doesn't make sense not to only look at the old markets and to think that will continue forever. Um, and I think for those who are concerned and really want to know, I think there's a lot of kind of rewiring our own mind and to think for yourself, why am I against this? Why do I think I shouldn't be part of this market? Is there something I believe that it will hurt my business? That it will that it's wrong or something like that? And to understand what our blockers are. And if you have a big blocker and you go like, yeah, I don't know. I want to see everything burn. I like fire. Okay, but be honest about what you are doing, what you aren't doing, and why. And I think every answer is fair. I have a big um kind of emphasis on honesty. Same with greenwash. Like you don't have to do anything, but the last thing you should do is lie or manipulate any one of your stakeholders. That hurts. So understand who you are. and why you're doing what you're doing. I think it's more internal work, and I think that will really help. I see another thing that I think a lot of people are just, it seems too big and too scary and too out of their influence to even do anything about it. And like, who am I? I sell, I don't know, pencils. Like, I can't do anything about it. Um, and for that, I would say there are a couple things. First, there's 8 billion of us out there. For humanity to survive, we need everyone doing what they can. It's not that person's responsibility or that person's responsibility. We all have to see how what we're doing can be effective and impactful. But also that doing something even small towards a solution creates hope, creates energy, may inspire someone else to do the next thing. You're suddenly not in this scary, um, dreadful place thinking about the, doom scrolling and about the future. You actually are taking steps to be part of this kind of hopeful, energy filled group that is doing something, even something small. And so also it's, emotional, but it is again a completely different mindset if you're energetic and hopeful versus fearful and angry.
Yeah, and it also doesn't help anything.
No, it doesn't help. But people like being angry and accusing other people for not doing stuff. But I think it just, we change our mindset and we are kind of doing little things. Like it affects our friends, our colleagues, even our competitors. We can actually just trying to be part of the solution changes and shifts the energy instead of
All right, so
despair.
the daily to do changes a bit through the time. It starts with, if you have any bloggers, get them cleared, speak with people, talk about it. Like that can be your daily to do. Did you do something today to clear your bloggers about climate change or your beliefs about how it affects your business? Once that step is done, then you start asking, what am I already doing? What are my capabilities that could in some way help, inspire, motivate other people to do something or actually change something on your own? So what could it be? And then I also had like a step 3 after that, or with the step 2, you also sort of see the players. What are other people doing? Can you hop on their ideas or contribute with your capabilities with their ideas? So look a bit around of your ideas, and then always stay true, stay honest, and by all means do all of this in silence or not like publicly, so that when it's natural, when it feels good, in the end, it will not be greenwashing and you will help the bottom line as well because you will be acting in a way of integrity.
Yes,
Yes.
perfect. Yeah.
All right. So we have we
Yeah,
have the
because it
outline.
really depends where you are on this journey. And I think that's why it's hard to say what the one thing
Yeah,
to
of
do. Yeah,
course.
yeah,
So identify where you are, and you can put into the different
yeah,
ways. And there's no excuse to just get going.
yeah, indeed.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Leehe. That was a great thought of a daily thought of awareness for to inspire people to have. I think I'm very grateful for you to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. This is great.